If you're thinking about moving to Tennessee and you're looking for a place that blends natural beauty with affordability and a relaxed lifestyle, then Soddy-Daisy could be an interesting option to consider. It's often considered one of Chattanooga's best kept secrets, but is it really a hidden paradise, or is there a cost to all of that peace and quiet? Today, we're going to dive into the pros and cons of living in Soddy-Daisy, Tennessee. And by the end of this video, you should have a pretty good idea of both the good and the bad of living in this area. And hopefully that helps you make an informed decision on if this should be on your potential moving list. Let's jump right in and talk about 4 of the biggest pros and 4 of the biggest cons to living in Soddy-Daisy, Tennessee. So the very first pro is that this area actually has exceptional affordability and value. The cost of living in Soddy-Daisy sits about 14% below the US national average, and this makes a huge difference, especially if you're moving from an area that potentially is above the US national average. Housing costs specifically are as much as 30% below the US national average. I'm not sure if that number is entirely accurate, but I saw a few sources making that claim. The median home sale price in 2025 so far has been right around $360,000. Now, this median home sale price might actually be higher than some other areas in Chattanooga, but that's because you have a fairly large quantity of lakefront homes that are perhaps larger and have docks on the lake, which adds a lot of value. And then you have homes up on Mowbray Mountain, have great views out over the valley that Soddy-Daisy sits in and the Chickamauga Lake. So these homes are up in the multi-million-dollar range. So that definitely brings up the median home sale price in Soddy-Daisy. Overall, though, you're definitely going to get more for your money in Soddy-Daisy than you would in other parts of Chattanooga, especially downtown. In the mid 300s, you'd be lucky to find a 2 to 3 bedroom townhome. In Soddy-Daisy, you could get a single family home for that, potentially on some acreage with some nice privacy. So that's kind of the difference that you're looking at there. Pro number 2 to living in the Soddy-Daisy area is that it is an outdoor enthusiast paradise. The town is really situated within natural landscape, whether you're up on Mowbray Mountain or down near the lake. Either way, you're situated in nature. So when it comes to the waterfront, Soddy-Daisy has miles of shoreline along the Chickamauga Lake and along Soddy Lake. There are great marinas like Pine Harbor and Harbor Lights. So if you don't live on the water, you could still store your boat on the water. There's also plenty of public boat ramps and places to go fish and just hang out by the water and enjoy some of the peace and quiet that comes with being out on the water. Another major draw to this area is all of the trails and places to go hike and really immerse yourself in nature. So one of my favorite places to go is the Big Soddy Creek Gulf. This is a 285-acre wilderness area known for its stunningly blue water. So there's all of this beautiful water, all these beautiful streams that flow down from the mountain, and the water is crystal clear. It's really blue, so you can see straight to the bottom of these creeks, especially if it hasn't rained for a while. If it's rained recently, then the water will tend to be a little bit more murky, but it's beautiful up there. I love to get up there with my friends and just hang out and enjoy an afternoon or a morning. This is kind of a well-known area, so it's probably better to get out there in the morning if you want the peace and quiet of being there and having the place to yourself. For people that are a little bit more serious when it comes to hiking, there is access to the Cumberland Trail. So you can get out on the Cumberland Trail and do some more serious hiking. And I have not personally done this, but I was looking at a map of the Cumberland Trail and it is extensive. There are a number of segments that go through the Chattanooga area. So if you're really into hiking, I would definitely check that out. There are also a number of parks and places for recreation in the Soddy-Daisy area. So you have Veterans Park. That's probably the most centrally located park in the Soddy-Daisy area. There's also Stone Fort, which is known as the Little Rock City. This is a great place to go bouldering and climbing. And actually, I have a number of friends that go up there and climb quite frequently. So if you're into climbing, this could be a place to check out. There's another recreation area up off of Soddy Lake, which is really cool. There's Holly Park. You can put a boat in there and do some fishing. So overall, there are plenty of areas to get out and to enjoy nature with friends, with family, and just immerse yourself in the community that way. Pro number 3 is the commute advantage that you get with Soddy-Daisy. So Soddy-Daisy is a huge area, and if you live way off of US Highway 27, then it's probably going to take you a while to get into Chattanooga. But if you live closer to 27, then you are a direct straight shot to Chattanooga, and there's not nearly as much traffic coming from this way as there is coming from other suburbs in the Chattanooga area. So if you live near 27, the commute is quite easy to get to Chattanooga. On the short end, it could take as little as 20 minutes. On the long end, it could be more like 45 if you live way out by the lake. And so that's just a trade-off that you're going to have to understand before you make the purchase or the move to the Soddy-Daisy area. Now, when it comes to your daily necessities, there is a Walmart and a Food City in Soddy-Daisy itself. So you do have close and convenient access to groceries and just kind of the things that you're going to need on a daily basis. If you need items that are a little bit more specialized and typically harder to find, then you can jump over to Hickson, which is just about 15 minutes away. Hickson has everything you're going to need along Highway 153. There's literally almost everything you could possibly need there. I mean, there are big box stores like Academy Sports. There's a Target there. There are all kinds of chain restaurants. So think everything from your typical chain steakhouses to Olive Garden to Panera. You've got a little bit of everything over there on Hickson Pike. There's even a Raising Cane's for my Raising Cane's fans. So all of that is pretty easy to access from Soddy-Daisy itself. The fourth and final pro that we're going to talk about is that this is a tight-knit, family-focused area. Soddy-Daisy is really known for its small town, tight-knit, close community feel. A lot of neighbors. In an era where this is becoming unusual, a lot of neighbors still know each other by name, which is really cool to see. Overall, this area does have a strong focus on families and retirees. The median age in Soddy-Daisy is about 46, so it is a little bit of an older area. You don't have as many of your young ones running around in the Soddy-Daisy area. It is a bit of a more mature audience living in the Soddy-Daisy area. And there are things and events that sort of cater towards these people. For instance, you've got festivals and 4th of July events and farmers markets and those sorts of things that are geared towards families and retirees. It's not necessarily for your 20-somethings that are looking for socialization with other 20-somethings. Overall, though, this is just really seen as being a safe, kind of tranquil area. It's a great place if you just want some space, but still want a close-knit community and to be able to get to know your neighbors. Okay, now let's shift a little bit and talk about the cons of living in Soddy-Daisy. Quick pause. If you're moving to Chattanooga, don't wing it. I give viewers of this channel a free 30-minute Chattanooga relocation call. You'll get the top 3 neighborhoods that are fit for your budget and lifestyle, a clear buying timeline, and a step-by-step relocation checklist. Just this year, I've personally helped 6 families relocate to Chattanooga. Plus, I've helped with several local moves, and I'm backed by Keller Williams with the Wendy Dixon team, one of Chattanooga's top-rated real estate teams with 74 5-star reviews. So click the link in the description or scan this QR code and book a time today. It takes less than 60 seconds. On the call, we'll map out your best fit areas and next steps. And if I can't help, then I'll point you to the right resources. No pressure. I've got a few slots open each week for viewers. When they're gone, they're gone. Tap the link below now and book your free relocation call. Okay, so the very first con of living in Soddy-Daisy would be that you are pretty much completely car dependent in this area, and there's kind of a lack of local amenities. So what do I mean by this? Essentially, if you want to go do anything in Soddy-Daisy, you're probably going to need a car. I don't really know how you could get around Soddy-Daisy without a car. Maybe you could get around on a bike, like if you lived right off of Dayton Pike, kind of the main road there. But I think for the most part, you're going to want to have a car, especially if you need to get over to Hickson or Chattanooga for anything. There's not public transit in the area. And then when it comes to amenities, you do have some basic amenities. You've got, your Walmart, your Food City. There's a couple of fast food restaurants, but there's not a strong local vibe. And so what do I mean by that? There's not a lot of local restaurants that are a little bit more upscale, I would say, or that have a strong draw to them. There's a lot of your kind of mom and pop restaurants or smaller joints that are lesser known, but you're not going to find great places to go hang out after work with your friends. That is going to be more of one of those things that you have to go seek out in nature. So you're going to have to go spend time at the park or out on the water. Those are kind of the third places in Soddy-Daisy. You're not necessarily going to go be able to hang out at a nice brewery or winery with your friends after work because there's just not really a lot of that in the Soddy-Daisy area. The second con, and this is true for Chattanooga in general, is that there is a real development strain. So over the past several years here, Soddy-Daisy has become increasingly popular and it's quite a large area. So there's plenty of room for developers to expand and build out. And so you're starting to see that, and the locals don't really like it. It is causing a strain on some of the local infrastructure. For example, now on Dayton Pike, you do have more traffic than you used to because there's more people driving up and down this road. People are complaining that there's a loss of character with some of the developments that are going in. And I would say that overall, this is true. The builders that are looking to build really affordable housing are not super concerned with the character of these houses. They're more concerned with affordability. And then there is a bit of an infrastructure lag. So infrastructure does seem to be lagging a little bit behind the actual pace of development. And so maybe you're having problems getting your internet connected, or maybe water pressure is lower than it should be in some areas. Those are the sorts of things that you're going to see with infrastructure lag as development outpaces the build out of infrastructure. The other thing in this con that people are talking about is that as more and more people come into the Soddy-Daisy area, the natural spaces are becoming a bit overwhelmed. So when you get on the lake, there's just a ton of people out on the lake. This is especially true on the weekends. If you're out boating on the weekend, there's going to be a lot of people on the water, especially in the summer. And then I'd say this is also true up at the big Soddy Creek Gulf. There are going to be a lot of people in this area during the summer. It's just a really popular place to go and spend a day. Another con that I've seen come up over and over again with Soddy-Daisy is that it can be easy to fit it in there, but like the rest of the people that live there, it can be kind of hard. People are polite on the surface, but they can be hard to actually find your way into a community. This is partially due to a lack of those third places to go hang out after work, but I think it's also due to just the roots of this area being really deep and old, and people have known each other there for a long time. This is something that people say with Chattanooga as a whole, but people often describe it as being a good old boys club. So it can be kind of hard to break into that, especially if you don't really adhere to the local norms. The fourth con to living in the Soddy-Daisy area is a stagnant local job market. So within Soddy-Daisy itself, there are not too many large employers. I mean, it's mainly going to be retail and then a few dental or doctor's offices, but there's not a lot of opportunity for employment in the Soddy-Daisy area itself. I mean, if you work in education, then yeah, there's going to be some jobs there, but overall, I would say that it can be difficult to find a job in Soddy-Daisy itself. So a lot of people that live there actually commute to downtown Chattanooga, or they work remote. Those are sort of the options for living in Soddy-Daisy. So this can be a con. This is also the reason that a lot of people move to Soddy-Daisy, because they do want that more suburban feel out and away from being downtown, and they want that relaxed lifestyle. And so this is actually one of the biggest reasons that people move to Soddy-Daisy, but it can be a con if you are looking for employment locally right around where you live. So is Soddy-Daisy the right place for you? Well, I definitely think it could be, especially if you value peace and quiet and access to nature and potentially lower costs overall. Then Soddy-Daisy could be a great place to consider moving. But if you need quick access to downtown or medical facilities, then that could be a reason to consider moving closer to the downtown Chattanooga area, or potentially looking at other suburbs in the greater Chattanooga area. I hope this was helpful for you. If you're thinking about making the move, I do offer a free relocation consultation. You can book that through the link in the description. If you made it this far in the video, YouTube thinks you might like some of these videos here, so go ahead and check those out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.